New this morning, we have new pictures to show you tied to a shooting in Aurora. Aurora PD dropped these photos on social media, hoping for new leads in the case from this past Sunday night. They're not the greatest, but they showed the suspect firing a gun inside the Panda Buffet on East Mississippi, east of Peoria. The restaurant was closing and no customers were inside. Police say the suspect entered through a side door, pulled a gun, and fired at the victim. He was hospitalized but is expected to be okay. Anyone with information about this shooting can call Crime Stoppers. The number is listed there at the bottom of your screen. Denver's longest ever cold weather shelter activation is coming to an end following a month of offering unhoused residents a place to get warm.
But neighbors around the shelter located in the Athmar Park neighborhood are concerned about crime. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon is digging into Denver police data this morning. She's live in the area. Courtney, statistics show an increase of crime there.
Yes, that's right, Corey and Jordan. Once this warming shelter opened, calls started coming in daily, sometimes multiple times per day. The temporary shelter was housed behind me here in the former Denver Prep Academy building. Now, in January alone, Denver police responded to 32 calls for service at the shelter, compared to 16 calls total in 2024. 9 of those 32 calls resulted in criminal reports. Among them were aggravated assaults, overdoses, trespassing, and criminal mischief. The city of Denver operated emergency shelters at full capacity for a month, offering unhoused residents a place to stay as temperatures dropped below freezing. The city says it activated the shelter 6 times starting on November 4th. The longest stretch it was open was from December 30th to this past Friday. Now, as the shelter shuts down, neighbors say they're questioning whether the shelter belongs in a community surrounded by small businesses and families.
I can't speak for everyone, but I know the neighbors in this immediate area, including myself, are very concerned for our safety and the safety of our children. Children use this sidewalk to walk to school, so they're being exposed to open air drug use, syringes everywhere.
In a statement, the city addressed the residents' concerns, saying, quote, "We can, must, and will do better." Denver police say it's increasing patrols in the area and will continue working with residents on safety issues. Live in Denver, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
Courtney, thank you. Right now, a family who just moved back to Colorado Springs is starting over after almost everything they own was stolen during their cross-country move. Jonathan and Denise Barron were staying at a hotel in Atlanta with their 3 kids. Overnight, they had their truck and U-Haul stolen. It had everything inside, from toys to clothes to electronics. The Barrons say those things can all be replaced, but what can't are the pictures and the personal items that were inside. Despite everything, they are happy they are safe and together.
The most important lesson, I think, out of all of this was how much we mean to each other.
Now, the Barrons say blessings have poured in from family and friends who have donated clothes and furniture to help them get back on their feet. They say another blessing is the fact that they had another car with a few personal items, like a family tree portrait from their wedding, that they were able to get back to Colorado.
Dive teams have now recovered the remains of all 67 people killed in the Midair collision of a regional American Airlines flight and an Army Black Hawk helicopter. Medical examiners have positively confirmed the identities of all but one of the victims. The crash happened last week in Washington, D.C. Crews are now focused on pulling the cockpit and other parts of the plane from the Potomac River. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the U.S. Navy Supervisor of Salvage and Diving are all working together on this.
We'll have the Black Hawk, but then we'll take the plane and lay it out so it can be evaluated to figure out what the angle of the collision was.
The NTSB says that data shows the helicopter was likely flying at 300 feet higher than the 200 feet ceiling under FAA rules. Investigators still need to verify that when they recover the helicopter later this week. There is still no cause for the crash just yet. A final report from the NTSB could take a year or even longer. Safety changes could come from a preliminary report.
People working to legally move to the U.S. through asylum programs are being impacted by President Trump's immigration crackdown. It doesn't just target illegal immigration, but has also shut down legal pathways. Trump signed an executive order halting the Refugee Admissions Program, also known as USRAP, for 90 days. The Broomfield Resettlement Task Force, which supports refugees as they start fresh in the U.S., says a woman from Afghanistan was planning to arrive in Broomfield next week, and now she's stuck in Europe.
But we found private everything. We found housing, we found airline flights, donated miles, and also dollars that said that, hey, we are committed to flying her here. And so it's just been really devastating to the family who's been working really hard and seeing that she's coming to Broomfield.
In 4 years, around 100 refugees have found a home in Broomfield. They're mostly from Ukraine and Afghanistan.
Mexican soldiers are now heading to the border with the United States. It is part of an agreement that halted U.S. tariffs on Mexican imports under the condition that the country would crack down on fentanyl trafficking. The troops will be posted at hotspots along the border with high rates of illegal migration and drug and weapons trafficking. Under the agreement, the U.S. has also promised to work to stop the flow of high-powered weapons into Mexico from the U.S.
New images this morning from space. The images from NASA's Hubble Space Telescope shows what's nicknamed the bullseye. It has star-filled rings from a blue dwarf galaxy that went through it. Thanks to Hubble, scientists now believe it has 9 rings. That's more than previous observations have shown for other galaxies.
So get this, that was pretty cool. We just saw a second ago. I think this is just as cool. In the last 35 minutes, Centennial Airport has warmed from 27 degrees to 48 degrees. Again, in about half an hour, you went from 27 to 48 out at the Centennial Airport. So I know the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you're going, Chris, how are we going to get to 68 degrees? It's 19 degrees right now. Chinook wins, baby. That's all the difference that you need, and you're going to get those Chinooks cranking up here as we head over the next few hours. Those temperatures will spike as a result, and those winds will be around as well. It's going to be whipping 30, 40, maybe 50-mile-an-hour winds through the day today. I'll show you that in detail coming up in just a couple minutes. I want to send things over to Lauren for a look at traffic.
Chris, thank you so much. Good morning to you. Really not a whole lot to talk about. You're going to have to put on your glasses for this one, maybe squint your eyes a little bit. Just a little tiny slowdown in the Federal Heights area. It looks like it actually just disappeared. So I was going to show you a tiny little slowdown, but that's gone. So really looking good on 25 from 144th Avenue into 76. Just going to take you 9 minutes. The only thing I had to show you is now gone. So I guess that's good news, Jordan.
Lauren, looks like you got the magic touch.